Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about the editing of my showreel as requested by our newly gained and hopefully not soon to be lost subscriber Hawk. He asked if I could do a breakdown of the editing and explain what I did while editing my showreel. And yeah, let's just jump right in. I don't really know how to start this, but yeah, that's the project file of my showreel inside of Final Cut. The original project file, the original timeline. Looks pretty messy, but it basically just looks like more than it really is. There are a lot of these little adjustment layer things, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. Again, it really just looks like more than it is. Let's just start with the beginning. We can see this little drone shot of the skyline of Berlin that I shot while I was in Berlin with my girlfriend shooting a wedding. And yeah, it's just a really nice establishing shot for the video. Well, not that any of the other shots in this video are taking place in Berlin, but you know, it's just a really nice opener to get you in this video. And also, you can see my logo right there to kind of just show that it's my showreel, I guess. And we have this black and white thing to just give it a little bit more interesting for the eye. Also, speaking of interesting to the eye, we have a little vertigo effect in this clip. If you don't know what a vertigo effect is, I just basically have it at 143% in the beginning of the shot and then zoomed out back to 100% to the end of the clip while the drone was moving forward. And if the drone was moving backward, then we'd have to start zoomed all the way out and zoom in as the clip progresses. And there's one more thing happening in this first beginning shot. We also have a little bit of sound design. Even before the music comes in, we just have this little helicopter sound. This clip was not shot on a helicopter, it was just a drone, but again, it's just a little bit interesting to the ear when you hear a helicopter sound that you connect with flying, and of course it's also flying in the clip. So it's just a little connection that you also hear what you see in the shot. Then the first drum of the beat hits and we have a lot of variety of different shots quickly cut after another to just basically show the variety of clips, shots or projects that I can do. Because it's a showreel, you should show off what you can do. And that's why I have all of these quick cuts, not just in the beginning, but of course also during the whole video. Also, it kind of shows that I'm in Germany, but the next shot is not from Germany and you also don't recognize it immediately. At least I don't, because I don't live there. Anyways, the next shot is from Monaco when I shot a music video back in 2019 to kind of show that I'm international and also pricey. I don't know. It's just a really cool shot from the harbor. You can see this big cruise ship and then a silhouette of me looking down in the distance of this beautiful city. You should visit it if you haven't already. Then we have another quick shot which just lasts like about 6 frames, so not very long, but it's the thumbnail. I think it looks just stunning. The sunset in Berlin, it was to the left, like this was straight up and this was to the left of this. The next we have a shot of me with a smoke grenade. This is from 2017 and I now just realized that I look like a baby with almost without a beard. Look at this, that is me. Yeah, you know, smoke is always good, adds a little bit of production value, and we have this beautiful red smoke. Next we have a shot of my brother Scam1, another music video that I shot for him. This shot just really looks like a lot like we shot it in a studio with these flickering lights, when in fact it was just in his bedroom. You can see behind the scenes right here with just this black background and 3 $15 light tubes that weren't actually animated, but he had his hands behind his back and turned them on and off to make this cool flickering effect. But this is not about the shooting, it's about the editing, so let's move on. Let me just zoom in a little bit. We also have a lot of sound design right here. This is actually a lighter sound that I just found in the audio library of Final Cut. I don't know, it just fitted in there, I guess. Also, it's very important for your sound design to layer different sounds. As you can see, there are 3 lighter signs in total. Yeah, just layer them to create your own unique sound. Otherwise, you can hear your sound effect in many videos because you're not the only one buying this sound effects pack or using the library of Final Cut, I guess. Then we have this exciting drone clip of my car. My girlfriend drove it and I flew the drone. This was actually, I'm going to turn off the animation. It wasn't actually shot with an FPV drone, which you could think. It originally was just this clip. I just flew over the car, but since it was in 4K, I could punch in a little bit. I started at 102%, and then as the frames move forward, you can see I'm zooming in and also rotating it, and I'm doing all of that with keyframes, and then it just looks like the drone is turning and flying very close to the car, which in fact it didn't. And then of course my best tip for hiding everything that you're doing in animation or visual effects, just put a good amount of motion blur over everything. This motion blur that I'm using is from Riot Nangle. Link to that is down in the description. You can download it for free. I'm not affiliated with him, but I think he makes one of the best, if not the best, plugins and effects for Final Cut, and most of them are free, so go ahead and download them. Also, I have my adjustment layer, which is also a plugin from him, because Final Cut for some reason doesn't come with an adjustment layer, and I have my LUT on this adjustment layer. Then we have a shot of this car, also one of my favorite shots that I ever did in a music video back in 2018, I think. It's speed ramped. In case you're interested how to do a good speed ramp, I actually made a tutorial about this exact shot where I showed you in depth how to speed ramp inside of Final Cut Pro and how to do it right. You can watch it right up here or right up here. I'm actually not quite sure because today I'm not shooting with my monitor that I'm normally using from Small HD to see myself, but actually with the flip out screen from the A7S III, and I don't know if this is mirrored or not. So in one of these corners you can watch this tutorial on how to speed ramp. Then next we have a transition where a lot is going on, but this is actually, I don't think this is a preset transition. I actually animated this. Let me just look. Yeah, I really animated it. You can see this is the clip of the car, and I just have a rapid scale up from 100 to 150, 200 and 250%. And while this is happening, I have an animated Luma-Key where it just takes out the dark parts, and then you can see a little bit of the smoke that's left from the tires, and then it zooms in. And also to emphasize it, I have this stock footage clip from ActionVFX. There's also a link down in the description because this is also a free pack, and this is just also hitting down here to make the transition stand out even more. And then we have this next shot also in Monaco from the same music video that you can also watch right up here or here. I think it's here. And then we have this dust left kind of transitioning from the tires in the next scene, and we still have some dust. And then also, just like in the beginning, talking about the sound design, you see a dog, so I added a little dog barking sound. But I think sound design deserves a single video, and I'm probably going to do one in the future, so if you're interested in that, be sure to not leave a like. You could also leave a like, but subscribe and also turn on the post notifications so you're notified when I'm uploading a video about sound design. Then we're moving into this shot. This is actually from, I think, 2017 I released this video. It's a travel video from Egypt, and I just used the same editing technique in my showreel as I did in the video itself. You can also find a link to it right up here or here. And this is just a match cut transitioned with a glitch transition. I just have two of the same shots, one where the plane is still on the ground and then one where the plane is in the air. And then I repeated the same motion 2 times, just moving into the window. And then we have this little glitch to glitch us in the air, from the ground into the air. Really cool, I think. This transition glitch shake is also from Ryan Nangle. As you can see, I'm using his transitions since 2017 and I'm still using them, so you should use them as well. Link down in the description, no affiliation. Then we have a Luma-Fade and also a real in-camera transition because I'm tilting the camera up, and then we have the water coming in and revealing the sunset. And then there's also one great tip in the music. I just made a cut in the music right here and right here to when I'm in the air, and then I did not reposition the music. I just let it at the same spot. You could delete it and then you have just the normal track, but I just put the basic underwater audio effect from Final Cut on this music, and then I applied 2 basic crossfades to transition the music from the normal music clip to the kind of muffled underwater one, and then back to the normal clip because you're in the air and then you have a small pause, a small break, you can breathe, and the music gets quieter, like muffled because of the underwater effect. And then also, of course, this little sound effect of a plane, a jet fighter, but it's just a basic passenger plane. And then also the most important effect that you have to add when you're filming the sea, of course, the seagull and a Beach FX 01. Then I'm starting to use a little bit more the effects that I used for most of this video to make it kind of flow from one to the other frame, because of course there are a lot of different clips from different music videos, product videos, travel videos, maybe even short films, I don't know. But just basically a lot of different clips that normally wouldn't fit together that well, but I used a lot of transitions, well, not transitions in a bad cringe way, I think, because zoom transitions and wide transitions of course are overused, but I think these ones that I used, also from my boy, I actually don't know him, Ryan Nangle, because these are the transition layers, I think they're called. You can download them down in the description, but this tool is just so great because you don't just have this zoom in, you have different layers like a wipe to the right, wipe to the left, zoom in, out, up, down, and you can combine these clips to make it fit your video. And then you have to, of course, as always, you name it, put motion blur on it, and it just really ties them together. And it doesn't look like a cheap transition in my opinion, but more like an in-camera transition, camera wipe thing. You'll see what I mean. Here is just a basic zoom in. Okay, this one looks like a cheap zoom transition, I have to admit. But the other ones won't, trust me. Then we have these product shots of a Canon 5D Mark IV. They are actually not edited in the video, but I took the original clip where I edited this camera. I don't know if I can show you the whole clip right here, because you can just link 5 videos, and I don't know if I'm already past that. But yeah, for some of these clips I used the original clips and color graded them new, but for some of these clips actually I used a high-res exported version of the video that they are from. Like for example right here, this is not newly edited, this is from the original video, but it just went along with the music, so it was a great edit, so I just put it in to the showreel like it was, without changing anything. Then we have this hyperlapse of a town hall in Bamberg in Germany, and here we have a little better wipe transition to Venice. As you can see, yeah, this looks a little bit like a transition, but I think it's just great. It just turns to the right. You can't really spot the mirroring, like a little bit, but not that much. Then we have a little bit of moderate motion blur on it, because that's the best motion blur from the pack. And then we have a pan right here, pan right 1 and pan right 2. You have always the start and the beginning, and you can layer them, which is why there are so many little dots right here, because I layered them, and then they will start to really look good. Next we have this drone shot of a small little boat in the mangroves, how do you say it? Mangroves forest in Thailand. Then some animal shots, little bird right here. And now if you didn't think about the up and down, left or right movement while shooting, because again, these clips are from the same shoot, but some clips aren't, so how to match a shot that is from a completely different scene with another shot where you don't have any camera movement that corresponds with the next clip, but you just have these transition layers. You have to think about what would be a logical movement, and then you can apply these layers, and then it will look great. Like for example, we have this shot of the bird right here, and the next shot is of this thing, I don't know how it's called in English.
Monitor lizard.
And this was way up in the trees while the bird was in my eye line. So what would you have to do with your camera? Of course you would have to pan up to see the
monitor lizard,
right? So I used an upwards pan, and since there are a lot of trees and branches and leaves, we have this pan up 1, pan up 2, and then the motion blur to blend it all together, and then it just looks like a blurry forest moving up to reveal this
monitor lizard.
And then once it's played in full motion, you can't even notice where the cut was. Also right here, the snake was even higher. Then we have this focus pull on this little strange thing. Then we have a right movement to the snake, a zoom in on the eye to reveal this nasty spider. Then one more zoom in, and at this point, it was already too many zooms for my taste, but I just left it in there because it was just so quickly moving that it was actually okay if it just went in even more, because it was just so fast. Like you can see, these clips are 14 frames, 15 frames, like not even a second lasting. So I think it was okay on this heartbeat to have a lot of different shots with a zoom transition to show off as much variety as possible, but I wouldn't do this in a normal video. This is just because it's a show reel. Normally I wouldn't use these many transitions. Then we have this Beats by Dre hit, it's called. I don't know. It's a hit from a Hits and Risers pack from Film Riot. You can find a link also down below. I'm not affiliated with them as well, but it's a great pack for, as the name says, some hits and risers. And then I used this hit this time not for something that you would expect to hear, like for example the dog barking or the helicopter flying, but something was happening in the video. This spider was coming out. There was a ranger that kind of had this little branch wiggled in front of the spider, and it came out to catch it. As you can see, it came out right here. I think, no, is this speed ramped or isn't it? Let me take a look. No, it's actually, it's not speed ramped. It's not speed ramped so that it goes faster. It's actually at 40%. So I shot this in 120 FPS, so this is actually slow motion, but the spider was still so fast. It came out with its fangs, and right when it hit the branch to catch it, I have this hit to kind of emphasize that the spider is catching the thing, when in reality, of course, it did not make that loud of a sound. But for the video to emphasize it, I just put this Beats by Dre _2 hit in the video. Then as you can see, I started layering these transition layers. We have a pan up and a zoom in. So we zoom in and suddenly come up and we're in a boat. Then I quickly Luma-Keyed the sky because it was kind of bright, and then I could just Luma-Key it. And then this was actually kind of a in-camera transition because I panned the camera up, of course, in the sky. And then I could create this Luma-Transition, which reveals some bugs under it. So I, of course, had this kind of bug crawling sound. And as you can see, the branches of the shot before are still there until they disappear. Then again, we're moving with the flow of the camera. The camera in the shot is turning to the left and we're using that movement. Now we can really see where the transition layers shine because I'm panning for real to the left, and then I'm actually not using a transition layer pan to the left in this shot, but a pan to the left too in the second shot, and also a little mask transition in this shot because we're on this tree stamp and then it's visible for 1 frame. You can see I masked it out right here. It's just for 1 frame, and we have a little bit of motion blur because here is this pan motion, which we could make invisible, then it's right here. And then once we make it visible again, we can see it's on the left side, and this is just mirrored, but because it's under this branch and it's just the sea and the sand, it doesn't look that bad. You still could notice it, but again, once we put motion blur on it, we can't really see it. Also, it's just 1 frame, and once we play it back at full speed, we can see it's just a beautiful seamless transition. Also a pick, so we add a pick sound. Next, we're going underwater. This is of course a rough transition again, but since we're at the sea, the pick is right in front of the sea, we go down and we're under the sea. I guess it makes a little bit of sense. Once we're down here, we can see a turtle and a dolphin. And of course, for the entire time where stuff is happening underwater, we again have this cut in the music and then this underwater audio effect on the clip to make it kind of muffled again because it's underwater. Also, I have a little bit of a long transition when we go in from the beach to underwater, but then once we come up again, we're in the middle of a Thai boxing fight, so I don't have this long of a transition and it's just 6 frames when here it was 19 frames, but here it's just really quickly back to normal. And then we have not just this really fast edited and speed rammed Thai boxing fight, but we also have a lot more going on. We have a crowd applause and cheer in the background to make you really feel like you're in this moment, reliving that. Then we have a kind of shot of both, then a close-up of the fist moving in, and then a really dramatic freeze at 120 frames where you can see the sweat drops sprinkling all over the place. It looks really amazing. I mean, it's a little bit disgusting, but it's also pretty cool. And then more speed when she goes in for the next punch. Then we have a spinning transition, which actually makes no sense, but since it's so fast, you can't really notice it. It just looks like more shake. Then after we have seen them both fighting, a close-up of the fist and the sweat, and them fighting again, we see a close-up of some feet meeting. These are actually from the... how's it called in English?
Referee.
The referee, apparently. He's just taken a step back that introduces him. Then we can see him in action. He comes in from behind the fist. You can see a very strong facial expression. He's just telling them something. I don't know if he's telling them to stop or to box again. Oh yeah, he's probably telling them to move closer together, as you can see. Then after him, you can see her again going in for a kick, hitting her kick, but then she gets punched in the face. And we have another slowdown where her hair is moving all over the place. But then she comes back in and she blocks again, and then we have 2 guys fighting. And then we have this scaled up and set to the add blending mode and then comic effect over it. I wasn't quite sure if I should leave it in because it's very creative and extraordinary, but I asked a few people if they think it was cool and they thought it was cool, so I just left it in there. Okay, so what's going on? We have this normal clip of him walking in this corner in slow motion. Then we have a clip of him scaled up to 400% set to the middle, and the blending mode is set to linear dodge. And then we just have a few variations to make it kind of glitch out. Then we have the same effect with the comic cool effect. Then we have the clip scaled down to 135% and set kind of over him, but still with the comic effect. Then bigger again at 400% and his face right here next to him. Then it's just at 108% for 1 frame, so just a little bit bigger than him to kind of outline him. Then he's bigger again and you can see his face matching up with his body. And then just him scaled up a little bit with the comic effect, but without any linear dodge effects. They were actually linear dodge and not the add effect as I expected. Then we're taken out immediately by a pan to the right to the next scene, a visual effects shot of me jumping into a hallway, and then suddenly something is exploding behind me, and I have 1 normal gun and 1 laser gun, and then there's a lens flare and some dust, and then you can see the behind the scenes where it was just me on a green screen. And I also filmed it myself. In case you want to watch that video, and in case I can still link more videos, you can also watch it somewhere up here, but I think we're past that. And then we have it moving even quicker. As you can see, the tension kind of builds up over the time of the video. In the beginning there are, I don't want to say slow cuts, but they're slower, and then they're getting faster and faster, and now we have cuts at just 3 frames a second, but your eye can still recognize them. And as you can see, we have this mess of pans and zooms and moderate motion blur. And yeah, I can't really explain what does what, but we're just gonna move through it frame by frame. Again, some of them are just 3 frames. Here, when we can see the green screen, we have a, this time not underwater, but telephone effect on the song, also with the transition, because you're kind of taken out of this awesome, amazing action scene, and then we can see the kind of disappointing behind the scenes when it's just a green screen. So I'm also not just taking it out visually, but also in the sound, in the music, by applying the telephone sound. And also it was very quiet when I applied the telephone sound, so I made it plus 10 dB. So it matched with the 0 dB normal song. Then we have a zoom in and also move to the right, because the shot was kind of moving to the right. We can see the flag of Monaco. Then we have another zoom in on the Lamborghini logo, but we're not even staying in that frame for a single second, because it's still moving in like a continuous shot through the time, continuous zoom through. Then we zoom in to a Lamborghini. This was actually not the same. My lights went off, but I guess you don't have to see me anyways. Going to make it a little bit brighter. Can you see my eyes? They're dying. Freaking summer. I mean, I like summer, but allergies. No, I'm too bright. Now it's very dark, but we're almost finished. Anyways, where was I? This is not the same Lamborghini. This Lamborghini was in front of a casino, and this was driving. You can also see this is a Lamborghini Urus, because it's kind of this cheap version. It's big. I was not saying cheap. I was saying Jeep. And this is a flat sports version, of course. The other one's also probably a sports car, but this is the cool looking one actually. But both are black and both are from Lamborghini. So I could just show this logo and then show the car and it would match. Then we can see a girl, Rabea, walking down the street. First from behind so you can see the harbor. Then from the front to see the trapping sunglasses and the beautiful houses in the background. Then you can see me on the stairs, also the camera quickly moving in as I put down my sunglasses to look directly in the camera. Damn. Then this clip of me turning around and making this cool rapper movement in front of the beautiful skyline in the harbor of Monaco. And then yeah, I'm just going to play the rest, just some more clips of some more music videos. Actually, there's one more transition that I can talk about, and it is right here. You can see 2 people at a pretty cool set, which is actually just where you wash your car, but it has some pretty cool colors, so we shot there. And then we have this line right here, which is just a Luma-Keyed street, as you can see right here. Also the camera is going forward and the arrow in the video is also going forward, and I just have it again Luma-Keyed right here to cut out the dark parts, and the light parts, like for example the arrow, are in here. And then once we're up here, the Luma-Key stops and we can see the full frame, and then it goes right into 120 FPS slow motion to let the smoke kind of last in the air. And then we have another speed ramp going in to reveal the artist right behind the smoke. Then we have a brief moment of a one taker, 6 seconds, actually not that long, but long for this video, where it gets also kind of quieter in the music. And then we have a kind of, again, break to breathe and watch this long one take, 6 second one take. And then it gets a little bit quicker again with these cool shots. Also, something happening in the video. He's moving his hand to the right, and corresponding to that, we have a right movement with a pan right and another pan right, and then motion blur on top of it. So we have a right movement, and it's still in the same clip. This looks actually pretty cool. Not like a cheap transition, but like a real camera movement, because it kind of was a real camera movement, but emphasized with these assets in the editing. And then again, I can just say it over and over again, because these clips are actually not from the same shot, but you can see the camera is going down to film the alcohol being poured in the glass, and then when the camera moves back up, we can see it's also moving upwards in the next shot, which is actually a completely different scene of some paints, and then going to the right. And here's my brother Niklas, aka Scam1 again, moving in the sunset in Frankfurt. And then we have a curious little mercat looking at the camera and then looking to the left side. Then we have another zoom in, and this looks actually like a pan to the left and then flying in a straight direction, when this was actually not a zoom to the left, but just a flying down in a straight line. But again, I emphasized what was in the video, which was the mercat looking to the left side, so your eye also goes to the left side, which is why I panned this drone shot to the left side and then going through the branches, revealing the Eibsee in Germany. And then we have some more shots of it, pretty beautiful scenery. Then we have this boat and a little creek, which is actually not a wooden boat that creaks, but a sound that I used in a horror film for a door. And now it's a creaking boat. And then we can just watch the rest of the video, and it's just basically the same thing over and over again. I could say the exact same examples over and over again, but it's just, again, here's something creative. Swan opens the eye, and we have a female breath sound because, I don't know, it's gorgeous. gorgeous little swan. Also a little bit creepy. This swan opened its eye perfectly while I was focusing on him from the branches. Just a perfect coincidence shot. Like, I could shoot for National Geographic all day. And yeah, just a few more shots again. Here, while the swan was opening its eye, I also did a little effect in the music. And then just the same thing over and over again. I think I covered pretty much everything that I used in this video. And now we're actually at the end of the video. You can see again Scam 1 in Frankfurt in Germany, and then my logo with a little glitch sound effect, and also again layering sounds. So important. Layer your sounds to make them your own. And that's actually everything we got time for today. I actually recorded for almost an hour. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope Hawk had some of his questions about my editing cleared. If not, you can always hit me up, leave a comment. If you have specific questions, I can do more videos regarding that. If you want to know how to use these transition layers in depth, I could also do an in-depth video regarding that. And for now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and also consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you won't miss out on any future editing breakdowns or filmmaking videos in general. And I will hopefully see you in the next video. Goodbye!